If Machiavelli were a teacher, I think he would enjoy this next activity. It's called the reapportionment, redistricting, gerrymandering activity, where students sign up for a particular combination of demographic identities. So that, for example, number one is Republican, green, and high income. These students are to jump onto this map and carve out district boundaries that benefits their particular demographic identities. So in some cases, they can draw out a district map that has a majority of Republicans in it. Other times, if they're Republican, green, and high income, they can find one district map that's going to benefit Republican, green, and high income, and so on and so forth. So their charge is, once they sign up for a demographic identity, and there are 36 of them on this list, they are to fight for district boundaries that benefit that identity. Now, as you'll see, there are 36 combinations, which means that no two students are going to have the same demographic identity in this game or in this activity. So everybody is potentially an ally, but also potentially an enemy. I've posted these rules, instructions on my blog, but just to give you a quick overview, the kids are going to have about 30 minutes to get into their groups. So if they are a Republican, for example, they're going to have 30 minutes to get with other Republicans and carve out district boundaries that benefit Republicans only. And the Democrats, they're going to be in their groups, or rather their group, and they should be cooperating with each other to carve out district boundaries that benefit the Democrats. 30 minutes later, I'll split them into high, middle, and low income groups, and so some of them will have to switch sides. Others will stay with their partners, and they're going to have to carve out district boundaries here that are going to benefit their income demographic, and then in the final map, they're going to get with the groups where they identify with their ethnic demographic, so that if they're blue, they're going to look to draw boundaries across this town or state to benefit that particular demographic. And I do this, I split up the groups into three separate groups, or rather I split up the map into three separate maps, so students can see that not all Republicans are simply high-income conservatives, not all Democrats are low-income voters, so on and so forth. They can see the depth that demographics adds to the political game that we play here in the United States. Now, they will, going back to the sign-up sheet, there will be, let's say, 3 Republicans and Greens that on these 2 particular maps, they will be allies, but when they get split up into their income levels, they're going to be enemies. So at no point do you feel completely safe in this game. You're going to have to wheel and deal. You're going to have to make alliances that you may actually have to backstab later on in the game. And so as we go through, going back to the instructions, as we go through the game, the individual students are going to know which demographic maps benefit them and which ones do not benefit them. And on the final day, I'm simply going to shine, or rather project, this map, this all-inclusive map, onto a whiteboard. And the students are going to come in and draw boundaries and vote for those particular boundaries. The way I do it is I just take any random student that goes first. They'll come up here. They'll draw a circle. Because there are 100 neighborhoods, and each one of these RB plus, for example, is a neighborhood. There are 100 neighborhoods, and so you're looking for, because Supreme Court cases like Baker versus Carr and oh gosh, I forgot the other one. Because of court cases like that, the Supreme Court has decided that you need to have an equal number of people in each district, both at the national and the state level. So in this situation, you have 100 neighborhoods. You want to have 10 district boundaries with about 10 neighborhoods in each boundary. Now, you can wiggle around a little bit and say, let's say 11 district boundaries with 9 neighborhoods in each one, as long as it's equitable. And of course, you don't want overlapping district boundaries. And you don't want district boundaries that are obviously gerrymandered, where you connect bottomlands here, draw a big line down to Southern Hills, and draw these guys into this particular district. So that shows the students why something like that would be unconstitutional, unfair, immoral. And before I get into all this, I show them district boundaries like the earmuffs in Chicago, Lincoln riding on a vacuum, state boundary in New York. I'm not sure if the New York one's still around. And the fajita strip here in the state of Texas. So anyway, they'll draw the district boundaries, vote on it, and if they made the right allegiances and if those people stick to their promises, then District 1 will be established. And once it gets established, you cannot go back and change those boundaries. So then, essentially, the first person that draws that first district kind of sets the ball rolling and sets the tone for the rest of the districts. So that if this district with Bottomlands and Cross River becomes district number 1, any student that was going to think about cracking this up and connecting Bottomlands, for example, with Vista del Campo, well, their plans are shot. And so they've got to go back to the drawing board and make some adjustments. And since nobody is truly a true ally with anybody else, everybody is going to be making adjustments on the fly. Everybody is going to have to backstab somebody. Everybody's going to have to make allegiances with people that they never would have thought of. And the great thing is, because kids love to sign up with their friends, they'll see, for example, a friend will sign up RG high income, another friend will do RG middle income, and on that last map, they're having to backstab each other, and usually friends tend to get into some serious discussions. Now, they're government-related discussions. I make sure that they move in that direction. However, they see how dangerous politics can be to friendships. Makes strange bedfellows and all that. So on the last day, I project that up there. We draw our little boundaries. We draw 9, 10, or 11 district boundaries. And how the students get points. If, for example, Bottomlands and Cross River is one district, then I'll count the number of independents, Republicans, and Democrats in this particular district, and the majority party gets a point. So in this case, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Democrats. So I'm assuming here Democrats would win this district. Every Democrat in the class would get a point for this, even if they didn't vote for this particular district. And then I would count the ethnicities. Blue, 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 blue. So it looks like blue is going to do pretty well here. So everybody who is blue gets a point. And then everybody who is middle income gets a point. So if you're Democrat, blue, and middle income, if that's what you signed up for, you get 3 points. If you're Democrat and blue, or Democrat and middle income, or blue and middle income, you get 2 points. And if you're just simply a Democrat or blue or middle income, you get 1 point. And so we go across, we canvass the entire map, we count up all the points, and then at the end of the process, whoever has the highest total number of points, they get a 100 on this assignment, and everybody else's grade is based on that total number that the 100 gets. So, for example, if, let's say, a student gets 10 points, they make 100, and that's the highest number of points in the class. They get 100 off of 10 points. If a student gets 9 points, they get a 90 because the highest student got 10 points. So 100 divided by 10 is 10. 9 points times 10 is 9 assignment points times 10 demographic points equals a 90. And if a kid only manages to get 3 points, then they get a 30 on this assignment. I do, obviously, since the point is to learn about demographics and gerrymandering and court cases and all that stuff, my intention is not to punish students. So if somebody does make a 30, I give them ample opportunity to do a little bit of extra credit, maybe do tiny little one-page research on the fajita strip in the state of Texas, and then I'll bump their grade up to a 70 or an 80, depending on how good that extra credit is. So fear not. Now, I never reveal to the students that they can make up their grade with extra credit, because then that takes away the incentive of doing well in the game. I do reveal that, however, after the game is over with, for the kids that make 40s and 50s and 60s, and that will happen. Hardly anyone, I've never seen a zero. People usually luck into several points. I've had students who accidentally made 80s and 90s because other demographic groups were supporting the same thing that kid was doing in class, or was supporting in class. So at the end of the day, you've got a lively discussion. You've got a lot of people who are passionate, who are upset about not doing so hot, or maybe they did really well and want to know why they did really well, which leads to a great conversation about what is the proper distribution of power. And another conversation, which is, even if we have one man, one vote in this country, if you're put into a voting district where you're a Republican but you're surrounded by Democrats, does your vote really count when it comes to voting for state representatives? Or if you're a Democrat in a Republican state, does your vote really count when it comes to voting for senator, for example? And so it certainly has led to lots and lots of lively discussions. You can find me at Thrasymachus on Twitter. That's at THRASYMACHUS. Or you can simply email me at ccooper@nctc.edu. I've used this both in my regular ed government class in high school and also in my college level classes. Thanks for watching.